Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com and welcome to the podcast, Phone Dog Live. This is episode 52. We're live on Ustream. Thank you everyone for being here. If you're watching the recording of the show on YouTube, thank you also for being here. As always, the timeline is in the description below the video, so you can use that to skip around and listen to whichever topics you want to listen to. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but if you do, you get extra brownie points. Yeah, and you can use those for nothing really. You just get brownie points. And if you're watching this live, you get extra brownie points for nothing, but still you get to have those. It's for bragging rights really that you watch the show live. Anyway, we do have a good show today. I'm going to be talking about how Apple is evil, even though, not really, just the whole HTC EVO 4G LTE thing. It's been sort of banned from the US. They're not letting it in just yet, and it's sort of Apple's fault, but I don't know. We're going to talk about that, and basically it's just a really big, annoying mess. Also, we're going to start right away with an article that I published just yesterday, actually, last night. I never really know when I publish stuff because I don't actually publish the articles, Aaron does, so I'll send them to him, and sometimes it's like an entire day before he publishes it, and sometimes it's like an hour, and it always throws me off, so I think he published it last night. Anyway, it was how I temporarily switched to Android. The title of the article, after 1 month with Android, I'm going back to Windows Phone. So of course, as you guys know, I use Windows Phone as my personal device, and I usually carry around an Android phone just because of my job. You know, it'll either be, it's one that I'm testing out, so I gotta carry it around, or I just want to kind of keep up with everything that's going on in terms of, you know, software, apps, things like that. But I've been using Windows Phone for about 9 months. I really enjoy it, you know, nothing has really changed, but I stumbled across this website called mycolorscreen.com, and if you guys haven't been to this site, it's pretty awesome. Actually, it's extremely awesome because it's basically just an entire page of people's custom home screens, and there's some very, very awesome design. Well, all of them are great. I mean, basically all of them are just, I mean, they're amazing, but there's some that are really cool, and you can, you know, click on one that you like, and it'll have a list of all of the apps that they used to create that custom design, and it's really nice because not all of them are rooted. Like sometimes people, they talk about they customized their device and rooted it and installed this custom ROM and did all this crap, and you know, I don't always want to do that, especially since the Android phone that I happen to be using as part of my month-long trial, it was a demo unit, so I don't feel comfortable hacking it. So the cool thing about this site is that like 90% of the designs you can do without having to root your phone and install a custom ROM. It's just apps that you can get from the Google Play Store. So it's an awesome site, and you guys should definitely check it out. But anyway, so I happened to stumble across it, and seeing all of these cool designs, it kind of made me miss Android, because that's Android. I mean, the argument that I hear the most whenever people talk about why they love Android, or not the argument, but the reason I hear the most for why people love Android is the customization. And that really is a huge part, because it's probably the one OS that truly has that kind of customization, you know, on that level. And so I kind of started missing it, you know, especially when I saw this site. And so I thought, you know, I want to kind of tinker around with this a little bit. I kind of want to mess around with it. So I got, you know, one of the demo phones I had. I created this custom look. I showed it to you guys, actually. I was talking about it during one of the episodes. I said, you know, I'm thinking about switching to Android because, you know, of the customization. I showed you guys my design. It's actually on the post. You can see I've uploaded the screenshots. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna switch to Android. You know, see if I like it. Am I missing out on something? Is the customization, you know, can I find a design that I really like? And it wasn't quite an official switch because like I said, it was a demo phone, so I still had my SIM card in my Windows Phone device. So I was kind of like carrying around both. But I started using the Android phone more, I guess is what I'm saying. Anyway, and so I came up with this design. I really enjoyed it, and then I got tired of it, and I wanted to do something else. It's just something cool or something new, something a little more extravagant, I guess. And so I spent hours for literally a couple of weeks trying to find, the right wallpaper, the right clock widget, design my own clock widget. I downloaded fonts to use in my text widgets, icon packs, different launchers. I spent hours every day, and finally, after a while, I just gave up because I could not find a design that I liked. Now, let me just say, first of all, this is just me. I mean, not everybody. I mean, some people find a design and they love it and they stick to it and it works and like that's what they use and they have no problem. So like this is just me. It's not going to be like this with everybody. I don't expect it to be like this with everybody. This is just kind of my personal experience. Anyway, I couldn't find a design that I liked, and I realized that I was spending so much time customizing my phone that was really all I could use it for. I mean, in when I wasn't customizing it, I was like playing a game. I downloaded Temple Run. I played that game a lot. I would also use it to check up on news like ESPN. I would use it for that. But most of the time when I had the phone in my hand, I was customizing it. I would settle on a design, and then I would want to change it and do something else. And I don't have time for that. And I got so frustrated. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I need to be able to pick up my phone and use it and enjoy the way it looks and not be like, okay, it's usable, it has the apps I want, but I wish it looked different. I wish I could. I want to customize this. I want to change this. And so, Android's customization features are first of all, great because there's so much that you can do. And again, for some people, it's like not even an issue. I mean, they love the customization. They have time to spend, hours customizing. So, again, it's just personal. But I realized that I realized the original reason why I switched to Windows Phone, which I had kind of forgotten about because it had been so long, but this helped me to remember it again, is just because it is so simple. And though some people use this as a negative, to me it's a positive. There is no customization. And for some people, that's going to be a huge negative. For people who do like customization, it's a huge negative, which is like completely fine. I mean, I don't care. Like if you don't like the way Windows Phone looks, then it's totally fine. But just for me, I don't have time to spend customizing my phone. And why would I? And then I was like, why would I spend hours every day for a week or a couple of weeks customizing my phone when I like the way Windows Phone looks? I know there's no customization with it, but I don't need to customize it because I don't want to. I like the way it looks. So after a month, I decided, you know what? I'm going to go back to Windows Phone. Now, I'm still going to carry around the Android phone I was using, just because of my job. I usually carry around one anyway. And also, I happen to be using the HTC One S, which is just a gorgeous phone. And this is one thing that I am going to, and this is kind of another reason why I wanted to switch to Android, is because of the hardware. The HTC One S is gorgeous. It has an amazing display. It's incredibly thin. The overall design is just incredibly just attractive and seductive. And so I'm still going to carry it around just because I do like it that much. But now it's like I go back to this basic Android, which is, the huge clock with icons and then a couple of widgets in here. And there's nothing wrong with it. It looks fine. But after knowing, now that I know what I can do, and after seeing all these cool designs, this just is not attractive to me anymore. So I'm still trying to kind of come up with a simple design that works, but that's, I can just create in like an hour and be done with it. So I'm still going to carry it around. I do want to address this. I've had a lot of people mention Launcher 7. Like, they say, well, if you like Android hardware and all that, why don't you just use Launcher 7? Launcher 7 is a poor man's Windows Phone, and I do mean poor. Not poor, I mean, in terms of the phrase, I'm not saying Android users are poor, but, you know, to take the phrase and expand upon it, it really is a poor man's Windows Phone, because basically all you're getting is the tiles and really and the notification, but really nothing else. The live tiles, totally not the same. I mean, it's that whole experience with live tiles, you don't really get that with Launcher 7. Being able to pin certain parts of an app, you know, not just the app itself, but certain parts of the app, you don't get that with Launcher 7. And also, Windows Phone, to me, and to all pretty much all Windows Phone users, it's not just about the home screen. It's not that it's just that I like the tiles and I like how simple it is and that's why I use it. It's the entire experience of each app, the email clients, the keyboard, even third-party apps. They all have the same Metro design, and that continuity is really what I enjoy. So Launcher 7, you're being shortchanged if you're using Launcher 7. And if you're okay with it, then it's fine. Like, I'm not gonna say, you know, you're an idiot for using Launcher 7, but seriously, you should really try if you like Launcher 7, you should try using Windows Phone, because it's so much better because it's the real thing. But anyway, so it was kind of a fun experiment, and I really did come up with some pretty cool designs, but I couldn't settle on one. And again, you know, like I said, I don't think it'd be a problem for everybody. And this is, again, another kind of like misunderstanding that people had. This is kind of why I wanted to talk about this during the show, because obviously I wrote the article, and you can read the article, and it explains everything of how I feel. But, you know, people read it, then they left comments, and there were some things that I think they either misunderstood or just drew, you know, wrong conclusions. But a lot of people, I think, got the impression that I was saying customization is bad, like it's a bad thing, and I think it's stupid and useless, and nobody should do it. Like, that's not what I was saying at all, really. It's just, for me personally, I don't have time for customization, and I like the way Windows Phone looks, so why not just use it? I mean, I don't have to use Android. There's the whole reason why we have other choices. The whole reason we have iOS, Windows Phone, Android, BlackBerry. It's not just for the heck of having other OSs, it's so you can actually use them if you want to. So, you know, yeah, for me, I like the way Windows Phone looks, and I don't have time for customization. I have so many other things and responsibilities in my life that my phone is... I need to be able to pick it up, use it, get something done, and then move on with whatever else I'm doing that's more important than my phone. So that's for me personally. But again, for some people who have hours to spend, or, you know, maybe just really enjoy doing that, maybe it's a great hobby for them, or maybe they enjoy hacking and kind of getting into the guts of a phone and seeing what they can do and all the programming, if they just enjoy doing that. Or if they're really artistic, which I consider myself artistic, but, you know, again, I don't have time to worry about it all the time. But, you know, if they are just really artistic and that's one way they express themselves, I mean, there's a number of reasons why people would enjoy customization. And if you do, then it's great. I mean, I wasn't saying at all that it was bad. But I think people kind of got that impression. But it does just take up a lot of time. And if you have a lot of time, you can create some pretty awesome designs. And I did. Like, if you see the article, this was the first design that I came up with, and I'm gonna save it, that way I can show you guys that this was kind of just the first design that I came up with. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't great, but it was sort of, you know, it was pretty cool. Not what I wanted to do. This was one of the secondary screens I had, but you can see I downloaded an icon pack. I used minimalistic text to create these text widgets. With kind of, you know, custom, like, sentences, not just saying the, you know, the time or the weather, but I had nice little conversational flow to it. You can see the dock at the bottom. I customized all of that. So it was actually a really cool design, and I liked it, and it was pretty awesome. I just kind of got tired of it But anyway, it was fun. So I wanted to kind of share my experiences with you of switching to Android, and I'm gonna go back to Windows Phone. And I did miss Windows Phone after a while. It was kind of weird because I'd used Windows Phone for 9 months, and then I started missing Android, so I switched to Android, and then I started missing Windows Phone, and so now I'm actually kind of glad to be back on Windows Phone. Yeah, I don't know, the customization doesn't really bother me that much. And it's not because, like, one guy said, it sounds like you like, what did he say, bondage more than freedom, or, being told what to like instead of being able to choose what to like, or something like that. And I was like, no, not really. I just don't have time. Like, I don't have time to spend hours every day customizing my phone. I wish I did, but I really don't. And that was the thing about when I did switch to Android and I was spending hours every day. Like, that wasn't time that I had. That was time when I really needed to be doing something else. But I was like, I'm going to give this a shot. For all the Android fans that hate me for switching to Windows Phone, I'm going to give this a shot. And so I would take time away from other things that I really needed to be doing and did that instead. So, no, it's not that the whole bondage thing, which was kind of weird and taking it a little bit too far, but no, I really like the way Windows Phone looks, and it works great for me. So that's my experience with Android. I'm still gonna carry the 1S because it's literally just an awesome phone. I wish I could. Yeah, I really wish I could find a design that's just kind of simple but still effective, that I like. I don't know. I'm still working on that. Bondage. Yeah, that was his word, not mine. Which I don't enjoy bondage, by the way. But anyway, moving on. Our next, the EVO 4G. Yeah, like I mentioned this in the beginning. We're going to talk about the EVO 4G LTE. It was supposed to launch. I said supposed. It was supposed to launch May 18th, which was today. And what happened was it was available. The HTC One X was available from AT&T. It's been available, and then they sold out. And then people were kind of waiting for when they were going to get more stock in and when they would be able to order more. And, we thought it would take like a couple hours and the next day, but it just kept saying out of stock for days. And then the EVO 4G LTE was supposed to be released, and then Sprint comes out and HTC comes out with, we're trying to get more HTC One X's in the States. We're trying to get the EVO 4G LTE in the States, but we can't because they're being held up by customs at the border. They won't let the phones be delivered into the US. And so basically what's happening is, if you guys remember, there was a court case between Apple and HTC. Apple claimed that HTC was infringing on some of its patents, and the ITC ruled that it was. It wasn't all of the patents. I think there was a couple of patents that Apple was using, or that had brought forward, and I think only one of them they actually won the case on. But HTC said it's a really small patent. It's just this little thing where whenever you select a contact, it gives you the option to email them or send them a text or call them. It was just kind of this little pop-up window, and it's a really small thing. We can fix it in a cinch. We already have a solution in place. It's done. Boom, everything's fixed. And so you're like, oh, okay, so no need to worry, everything's fine. But apparently, even though they did fix the issue, and you can, if you have the One X and you try this, it's gone. Like, the feature is gone. So they have actually fixed the issue, but still, customs will not let the phones be shipped into the country because of that original ruling. Those phones are supposed to be banned, or phones that infringed on the patents are supposed to be banned from the US. These phones don't infringe on the patents, but for some reason, the customs can't figure that out. And we're not entirely sure what's going on. A lot of people are blaming Apple, and obviously, to a certain extent, it is Apple's fault because they're the ones that brought forth the case. Whether they did actually have a case because they did actually own this patent and HTC was actually violating it. So it wasn't like a huge deal, but it's just kind of frustrating. It was the whole thing back when Apple was suing everybody for these little bitty things, and we're like, Apple, chill out. And so it's, in a way, it is Apple's fault, but in a way, it's kind of just customs for and the ITC for not being able to figure this out. I mean, it's completely obvious that the phones do not infringe on the patents. All they would have to do is take one of them out of the box, turn it on, and they would see these phones do not infringe on the patents. And so it's sort of like this disorganized mess, really, that's completely unnecessary, and it really sucks for HTC and for everyone that ordered the EVO 4G LTE or who wants the HTC One X. It could be fixed in a couple of days. It could be fixed in a couple of weeks. It could take 6 months. Nobody really knows because the system that they're using, there's really no paper trail, and and the system that they're using, there's not a whole lot that's available to outsiders. Like, we can't look in and see what's going on, why are they not doing this, is there another ruling, is there another ban, what's kind of going on behind the scenes. We're not able to see that because there's not really a paper trail, and customs doesn't have to explain anything to anybody apparently. So we're not entirely sure how long it's going to take to get fixed. I've heard some people say that it's not a big deal, that it's going to be fixed in like a day and it's not even an issue. I've heard some people say that it could take up to 6 months. So who knows? But it is extremely frustrating, and I heard someone say on another podcast that it's great publicity for HTC and bad publicity for Apple, even though it's not entirely Apple's fault because it's customs. They're the idiots that can't figure out that these phones are okay and they should totally let them in. But since everybody's blaming Apple, then it just makes Apple look bad, and it just reminds us again, oh my gosh, this was back when Apple was suing everybody, and I can't believe they were doing that. So it's just bad publicity for Apple, and then it kind of makes HTC look like the victim, which is always good. It's always nice. But no, and the 4G LTE, I mean, I feel bad for Sprint customers because aside from the EVO 4G LTE, that's it's not really a whole lot available outside of that one on Sprint. Of course, you've got the Galaxy Nexus. You have a couple of other awesome phones, but really the EVO 4G LTE is really it. Like, that's really the only one that you should be concerned with right now. And I'm sure a lot of people have pre-ordered it and they can't get it right now, even though they're supposed to already have it. But we'll have to wait and see. Speaking of which, Aaron has a review of the EVO 4G LTE, so just so you can get an idea of what you're missing out on. I guess if you just want to rub some salt in the wound, you can watch his review. And it's an overall awesome phone, and we talked about this last week. I think it was. I talked about how amazing it was, and it really is, and it really is just a beast of a phone. And I'm completely in love with the design. And I'm not gonna gush about that again because I just spent like 20 minutes last week doing that, but it really is an awesome phone, and so it just kind of sucks that it's not available yet. But the only problem with it is that it's on Sprint, and Sprint's network has really sucked a lot, at least according to several reports from people who have the EVO 4G LTE that are reviewing it, or have just some other phone, Sprint customers. For some reason, Sprint is having some huge issues with its network, and it's not just the EVO 4G LTE, it's the iPhone, it's all these other phones. They have the Galaxy Nexus. Their speeds have just been absolutely horrible. I've heard people with the EVO 4G LTE testing it out, and they're getting 5 kilobits per second for downloads. 5 kilobits per second. That's like basically having no data connection at all. And so no one is really sure what's going on. Every time somebody gets a Sprint phone to review, we always try to figure out what's going on, and we never really get an answer. So is it still worth it to get the EVO 4G LTE considering Sprint's network has had so many troubles? You know, that's a personal call, but we'll let you guys know if there's any updates on that. In the meantime, it's definitely a really frustrating situation. Moving on to Google. Yeah, Google. This is a report, and then we're going to talk about the Optimus LTE II because I know a lot of people want to talk about that one. Google is reportedly planning to work with multiple manufacturers to create the next Nexus device or Nexus devices. And this is kind of new because obviously in the past they've only worked with one manufacturer. It was HTC and then it was Samsung. And then like the Motorola Zoom tablets, like that was pretty much considered like a Nexus tablet, but it was not really. It was called a Zoom, but it was pretty much a Nexus tablet. But now we're hearing that they're going to work with multiple manufacturers to create multiple Nexus devices. So, you know, a couple of phones, maybe a couple of tablets. And the thinking is, and this hasn't been confirmed, obviously none of this has been confirmed, but if it is true, the thinking is that Google might be doing this in order to allay concerns that they are going to show favoritism to Motorola after acquiring the company. And that was a report, I mean, those were rumors that we had heard for a while, that now that Google had acquired Motorola, that they were getting early access to updates, that they were going to automatically make the next Nexus device, and, you know, all of this stuff. And so apparently, in order to, you know, basically make that a non-issue, they're just going to have multiple manufacturers make the next Nexus device, which I think is great in a way. I mean, true, the Nexus phone it's supposed to be like the iPhone of Android, even though it never is, which is incredibly frustrating. It's like the Nexus 1 was really the only Nexus phone that was what it should be. It was the best phone on the market. It had technology in it that wasn't used in another phone for like another 3, 4, 6 months. It was the best of the best in every way, and it was a true Nexus phone. And then the Samsung Nexus S, it was like really not the best phone when it was released at all. It was kind of like automatically the second or third best Android phone. And then the Galaxy Nexus, I mean, some people will still say it's the best phone, but honestly, if you compare specs, if you just straight up make a chart comparison, it's not. Even when it was released, it wasn't. And so, which completely defeats the purpose. It's like the whole purpose of the Nexus phone is to set the standard, to say this is what all Android phones should be like. And whenever you have a Nexus phone come out and then like another phone come out by another manufacturer and like that other phone is better than the Nexus phone, it's like, okay, Google, hello. I mean, can you please make these better? So in a way, I think it's better to just have one Nexus phone, but at the same time, you know, hey, that just means that's more phones with stock Android and no bloatware and getting updates earlier than everyone else. So really, for the consumer, it's a great thing. And this is also going to include tablets. There will actually be not just one Nexus tablet, which we already heard those rumors, but there will be multiple Nexus tablets, which again is cool because that's more tablets. And supposedly this is going to help boost sales of Android-powered tablets. I guess they figure if it's a Nexus tablet, if it has the Google branding, then it'll sell more. So who knows? But that's I do want to talk about the Optimus LTE II. I just kind of wanted to share that story with you because I think it's kind of a big deal. But it's still just a rumor. That was a report from the Wall Street Journal, so we'll have to see. The LG Optimus LTE II. We have some somewhat official specs, or these are official specs, yes. We have some official specs for the Optimus LTE II, and in a lot of ways, this is a very awesome phone, but then in some ways, it's kind of disappointing. So it has a 4.7-inch 1280 by 720 True HD IPS display, which is pretty, like, whoa. I mean, 4.7 inches is for a display that's kind of getting up there, kind of big, but then it has an HD resolution, IPS, so it's going to be a great display. obviously will be LTE, hence the name, Optimus LTE II. We'll have an 8 megapixel camera. It's going to have 2 gigabytes of RAM, which is unprecedented, and probably one of the biggest talking points of this phone. I've had so many people ask me about this. Was that phone with 2 gigabytes of RAM? And so it's a pretty big deal. It should, not that, most of the phones today that have like these dual core, quad core processors, they're so fast that even with 1 gigabyte of RAM, multitasking is flawless. So it's not like you need 2 gigabytes of RAM in order to have smooth multitasking, but it certainly wouldn't hurt. So it has 2 gigabytes of RAM, Android 4.0. It has a dual core processor. It's a 1.5 gigahertz dual core processor. No, I'm not sure. I might have missed this. If it's like the Snapdragon S4 processor, which, a lot of people have said that's better than NVIDIA's Tegra 3 quad-core processors, or just as good. So if it's that, then, not really too big of a deal. But if it's not, or if it's just kind of like some other dual-core processor, I thought that was kind of strange. This is a really flagship, high-end super phone, really. It has the makings of, every other super phone we've ever seen, but yet a dual-core processor, and it's kind of just like, it's kind of confusing. So, and then it will have Android 4.0 with LG's new UI, the new version of its UI, which is going to be called Optimus UI 3.0. So apparently all LG phones will now be called Optimus something, which I think is kind of weird. I mean, why not just call it the name instead of throwing in Optimus everywhere? But anyway, so this is their new UI, and if you want to get a look at it, I can't remember what, MWC, I think it might have been MWC, Aaron got some hands-on time with the LG Optimus 4X HD, and this is a phone that is supposedly coming to T-Mobile, though we're not sure, so don't count on it, but regardless, it's a phone that's real, and this phone is running LG's Optimus UI 3.0, so if you want to get a look at the new UI, watch that hands-on video. It's the Optimus 4X HD, that phone, and you get kind of a quick look at the new UI. LG says that the UI is designed with convenience and speed in mind, and there's a couple of features that really illustrate that thinking. Let me get a drink of water really quick, just a second. So one of the cool features is that on the lock screen, you know how you have to slide to unlock, like whichever way they want to do it, whether it's the ring or swiping up, it's always like slide somewhere to unlock. But with this one, you don't have to start from a particular spot. You can drag from anywhere on the display, just start anywhere, drag, and it will unlock, which I think is very cool, and actually, yeah, that does make it that much faster to unlock your phone. Now, it's only going to save you like, half a second or something, but still, that's half a second, and so that I think is pretty cool. Also, there's a new pattern lock that will open a frequently used app once the device is unlocked, and so I'm not sure. Like I've seen this before on some feature phones, which is kind of crazy, and I don't know, you guys probably may not even remember or know about these features, but I remember on some old Samsung devices like the Rogue, which was ages ago, but that was on Verizon. The Samsung Rogue, you could turn on pattern lock, and this was with a lot of other Samsung feature phones. You could turn on pattern lock, and then from the lock screen, you could do a certain pattern, like whatever, you could do a W and it would open the web browser. It would unlock it and open the web browser. You could do some other pattern and it would open up text messaging. And it was not a feature that I used very much, but it was kind of like, oh, you know what, that's kind of cool. So I think that might be what they're talking about, like you just do a certain pattern and it will open up a particular app, which is, again, saves time. It's a lot like having, like on Sense, you can have shortcuts and you just drag them to the ring. It's kind of a lot like that, but obviously they couldn't directly copy that because that's probably patented, I don't know. Or maybe they just wanted to make it different. And then another cool feature is you can customize the icons and shortcut images, which is pretty cool because usually that's something you have to download a launcher for, which is fun. And again, like going back to whenever I was trying Android, that was one of the things I did. I would, you change the icons, you can change the pictures. And so that's something that you can do with this UI. You don't have to download a launcher. So you can, say you have you want to change it to whatever pictures you have or something from your gallery, or if it's a shortcut to a contact, you can, use the picture of the contact, just whatever you want to do. You can customize the icon. So I think that's pretty awesome. And then another one is voice shutter, which allows you to take photos using your voice, which is kind of cool. I guess you just say, I don't know, capture or cheese. That would be pretty cool if you could say cheese and it would take the picture. I think that'd be pretty awesome. So again, kind of a nice feature there. A lot of very interesting features and features that I would love to have. All of these that I just talked about, I would love to have those features, and they're very cool. The only thing is that the UI itself, aesthetically, the design of it, I'm not too hot on. I've never really liked LG's UI. TouchWiz has always been my favorite. Lately, I've kind of enjoyed HTC Sense more. For some reason, LG's UI, it's just not for me. So, but still some cool features. And Optimus UI 3.0 will be debuting on the Optimus LTE II, which we just talked about. And that is launching. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this when I was talking about the Optimus LTE II. That will be launching in Korea this week. So if you're in Korea, you can go get it. I don't think we have any people who watch that are from Korea, but if you're from Korea, you can go get that phone this week. And it will also appear on the Optimus 4X HD, which is coming out in June, which is the phone that I told you guys that Aaron has a hands-on video with. That phone will be available in June. Supposedly it's coming to T-Mobile. Again, we're not entirely sure. But LG has said that the Optimus LTE II will be coming to the US later this summer. Now, we don't know what carriers, when, release dates, so don't ask me because I don't know. But we heard that it will come sometime this summer. That's one of the questions that I hate so much is that it'll be some random phone that we just heard about. Like we just saw a tiny little rumor. It will only have the model number, like the Samsung IPH 2100. And they'll be like, when's that phone coming out? And I'm just like, I don't know. Okay, how am I supposed to know that? I mean, I understand we're a news website, but if we know a certain release date, we're going to publish it. I mean, I think that's the funniest thing, that I get asked these questions, and I'm like, have we published it yet? No. Then that means that we don't know. That's, to me, it's funny, but also kind of annoying. Or I'll get asked all the time if we have a release date for the iPhone 5 or 6 or whatever they're going to call it. Which, again, I'm just like, if anybody knew the release date, trust me, you would know. That would be huge news, okay? And so, no, I don't know the release date. I mean, how am I supposed to know that? Apple is the most secretive company on the planet. Anyway, that was just a little rant. So yeah, you can watch that hands-on video, and you may like LG's UI. Everybody's different. I mean, some people hate TouchWiz. I love TouchWiz. Although, like I talked about last week, I'm kind of shifting. I don't really like the new TouchWiz, the new look of it. I'm kind of like, it's kind of rubbing me the wrong way. And I'm actually kind of leaning more towards Sense, which in the past I really haven't liked. And so, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's interesting. I'm going through changes. Yeah, it's new changes. And that's pretty much it. We heard a report that the Galaxy S3, that there have already been 9 million pre-orders for the Galaxy S3, which is a lot. Now this is just a report. It hasn't been confirmed, but it was an unnamed Samsung official. They, told the Korea Economic Daily that they've received 9 million pre-orders from over 100 global carriers. So that's pretty big news. I mean, obviously the Galaxy S3 or the Galaxy S has always been sort of that iPhone rival, because it's always been really the best of the best. HTC has had some great phones, but I think the Galaxy S, Galaxy S2, Galaxy S3, it's always kind of been the best of the best, and so naturally they go head to head with the iPhone, and which is probably one of the reasons why Samsung has been sued out of their boots from by Apple, because they are really their biggest competitor. Motorola, HTC, they've been sued, but Samsung is really the one they go hard after because they're the biggest competitor worldwide and in the US. And so to hear 9 million pre-orders, that's kind of a big story. So I don't know, we'll have to see. Getting solid numbers on shipments and total sales and numbers and all, it's impossible because they never really release it unless they sell a ton of, like Apple, they always sell, yeah, we sold 1 billion iPhones, and I mean everyone believes them because they know that they did, because everybody has an iPhone. But with everyone else, it's always like, yeah, we made like 10 million, and they left our facilities and stuff, and like, how many did you actually sell, though? And so we can never get solid. So that might be the only solid figure that we ever get about the Galaxy S3. I don't know. But anyway, that's the news. That's the show. And we'll move on now to the open Q&A. So if there's anything you want to ask me about, you can ask me about any of the topics that we already talked about. If something that you want me to elaborate on, I'll spend a couple of minutes on that, or just any other question you can ask, and I'll try my best to answer it. I'm on Ustream. I'm on Facebook. Hold on. Let me just get set up on Facebook. And my computer is running kind of slow. But I'll answer your questions. Okay. Facebook, I can never get Facebook to cooperate. How do I do this? Oh, that was incredibly easy. Okay. Oh, 4 seconds ago. Awesome. Now you're my favorite person in the whole wide world. Nice. Hi, Sydney. I'm from England watching, and I was wondering, since phones processors are growing so fast, do you think that they will get to 6 cores or more? And do you think that since Samsung and HTC has already released quad-core, do you think they will dominate the phone shops? Will we get to 6 cores? I don't know. I mean, maybe eventually. Who would have thought that we would make it to 4 cores? Which technically, like the Transformer Prime with the quad-core processor, it actually has 5 cores. So yeah, I mean, maybe eventually we probably will get to 6 cores. Do I think they will dominate just because they have a quad-core processor? I mean, not necessarily, because most consumers, they don't know or care, really. And most people that sell phones, like most salesmen, they don't know either. And so it may have a quad-core processor and it never gets mentioned because nobody at these stores know what they're talking about, which is incredibly annoying. So, but, even, outside of that, most consumers, they see a commercial and they buy the phone. So, I don't think they'll dominate just because of that, but it's certainly going to help, I would say. Okay, let me go back over to Ustream. Have you ever played Minecraft? No, I haven't. This is another question I hate. And not to pick on you, Jesus, but I'm just going to say I hate this question. The question is, when do you think Aaron will be doing an unboxing and full review of the Galaxy S3? I could ask this a lot. When are you going to have an unboxing of this phone? Or when are you going to review this phone? And the answer is simple. It's whenever we get the phone. We get the phone and like 5 minutes later we film the unboxing. And so that's my answer. Like, I don't know when we're going to get it, but we'll have the unboxing when we get the phone. So, I don't know. I didn't mean to be rude. I wasn't trying to be rude. It's just, that's one question I get asked so many times, and it just seems like the simplest. Okay. Sydney, can you give me advice on running my own YouTube tech blog? That would be a very long thing. If I could give one piece of advice, gosh, I don't know. Start simple. Don't feel like you have to go buy every phone and review it, or buy every computer and review it. Do like case reviews, or laptop bag reviews, or just start cheap. Whatever you have money for. You don't have to go out and buy a MacBook. Start simple, and build your audience. People like content, but quality is just as important as content. So make sure your quality is good. That video quality. Try to make use some subtitles. Make it interesting. Be yourself. Don't try to be funny if you're not. If you're kind of drab and you just like talking, but you're really smart and you know what you're talking about, be that. So yeah, quality is really important. But don't feel like you have to go buy everything and review it. Why hasn't Sony been sued by Apple? I'm not sure. I have a feeling that they probably have, though, on some level. I don't know. Good question. Can you please show us what you're looking at? Like, what's behind your camera? It's just a wall. Yeah, it's just a wall. Sydney, when will I be sued by Apple? I don't know, but I'm sure they wouldn't mind doing it. Because Sony is a beast and they are scared. Let's paint your room, Sydney. I live in an apartment, so if you want to paint it and then pay the fees, then go for it. Yeah. In fact, Apple is going to sue the annoying orange for having an Apple friend in the show. Nice. Let me check Facebook. I always forget about Facebook. And then I remember them like the last 2 minutes of the show, and so I feel bad. But I'm going to remember you guys this week. But of course there's no new comments, so. But hey, I checked. In your opinion, what screen size is too big? Well, I have small hands, so my opinion is going to be different. Like for me, probably, 4.6, 4.8, those screens are probably too big for me. But I mean, if you're a guy, you naturally have bigger hands than a girl. So, I do have really small hands though. They're tiny. They're like really tiny. Sydney, what's your favorite type of cake? Chocolate. I'd probably have to say chocolate. Yeah. No one loves Facebook. I'm afraid somebody's going to show up at Sydney's house with a bucket of paint. Well, no one knows where I live, so. And if they do, well, then I have bigger problems than the bucket of paint, so. Sydney, what do you think about the Galaxy S3? I think it's awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed by it. It's got the pin-tile display. I don't really like the hardware, the design of it's not really too hot on, but still, it's going to be an awesome phone. Who is your favorite phone manufacturer? Just in terms of looks, probably Apple. Now, I don't like iOS. I've said this before. iOS to me is boring, grid of icons. I don't like it. But I think the iPhone is the best looking phone probably in the world, right? To me, just, personally, to me it's the best looking phone in the world. Now, the HTC One X and the HTC One S probably could tie it. So I probably Apple would be number one, and then like HTC, they have some pretty awesome hardware. But really Nokia, the Lumia 900 it's one of the best looking. I mean, it's gorgeous, and so it would be a tie. I don't know if I could pick. Apple, Nokia, HTC. Sydney, can you dance? Not really. No. I'm half Mexican, which when I tell people that, they automatically think I'm an amazing dancer because, you know, Hispanics, they dance and do the salsa and all that, but I'm also half white, and so I think it kind of just overpowers it, so I really can't dance at all. Are you going to bring back the funny and the dog pound? So yeah, let me talk about this, just because, well, because no one's asking any questions, so I'm just going to explain this, and everybody listen up, so I don't have to explain this again. Okay. I'm out of jokes, okay? I'm out. There's nothing else I can do. This is what I would do every Monday. Get up, you know, read some news, whatever. Spend 8 hours, 6 hours sitting there reading comments over and over, trying to come up with jokes. And at the end of 6 hours, I would have enough content for like a 2-minute video. And after a while, I had no content. I couldn't come up with any jokes. So I know you guys love the funny parts. I know you guys love the comedy and the jokes. I understand that. And I am sorry. I wish I could bring it back. I wish I could do jokes. I honestly do. But I can't, okay? I have no more jokes. I'm completely out. So... And I've tried explaining this before. I've tried saying this before, and for some reason, people don't get it. They're like, but we want jokes! And I'm just like, did you not hear what I just said? So, I get what you're saying about the jokes, and I wish I could bring it back, and I could say, you know what, the people want jokes, I'm gonna do jokes. I could try to tough it out for you guys, but Monday would come around, and I wouldn't be able to do it. So it's not even an option. It's not an option. So I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do about it. It would be impossible for me to do that again. So, Sydney, what's your favorite meat you eat if you eat any? My favorite meat, I don't know. Something. Watch some funny TV shows for idea. Okay. I do that. I used to, like, when I started running out of material, I would start watching YouTube videos of stand-up comedy. So trust me, I've tried everything. Trust me. I'm thinking for replacing my old laptop with a Toshiba Thrive because of the ports. What do you think? Depends on what you use your computer for. Tablets at this point are not very good for productivity. You can do like some word processing if you have a keyboard dock. You know, you can do that kind of stuff. But really like heavy duty work, you can't really do that with a tablet. So if you use your computer for that, no, I wouldn't get the Toshiba Thrive. But if you really just use your computer for like web browsing, email, and that's pretty much it, then sure, go for the Thrive. Do you think there will be an HTC One Z, a 1S with a slide-out keyboard? I don't know. You should hire a writer. Okay. Do you use Dropbox or any cloud services? I use Google Drive, and then on my Windows Phone device, obviously I use SkyDrive. I don't really use a lot of the cloud, though. I like your new hair. Thanks. Tablets are a waste of money. Okay. I'm a student. Awesome. Oh, you're the tablet guy. Okay, sorry. I was like, that's kind of a random. For a student. So yeah, if you have to do a lot of schoolwork, I don't know if that would be a good idea. I don't know. I don't think so. What do you think about the gold batteries? They're 24, 30 milliamp per hour battery. I don't know. I haven't read much about those. I should look that up. What are some of your can't live without apps? Well, Twitter. I use Rowie on Windows Phone, so that's one of the most important. ESPN Score Center. I use that all the time. I know it sounds obvious, but like email and maps and internet, I mean, those are apps. I mean, it sounds really simple, but if you think about it, those are really the ones you can't live without. So, but you know, honestly, Rowie for Twitter, ESPN Score Center. I really don't use a lot of apps just because of what I use my phone for. I mean, I use it. I don't do a lot of like messing around or games or like Foursquare or kind of pointless stuff like that. I do, weather. I use Weatherflow. I always have a weather app, I mean, or live tile, whether it's I'm using a Windows Phone device or Android. Weather to me is one of the most important things. So I use Weatherflow on Windows Phone. And then I do like having a barcode scanner. So on Windows Phone, I have Shop Savvy. That's my barcode scanner. I use that one a lot. But probably the can't live without, I mean, besides the obvious, like I said, email, internet, I guess those are kind of like givens. I'd have to say Twitter. I use Roy for Twitter, and then ESPN Score Center. Did you enjoy your school years? No. Who does? Who enjoys school? No. Do you keep a lot of music stored on your phone? No, I use Slacker Radio. I've never really, I mean, I used to like download music and download the songs and do that whole thing, but probably 5 years ago, I found Slacker Radio and I was like, wow, I can stream music for free. And I was just like, why would anybody buy songs? You can download it for free. So no, I don't really purchase songs a lot. I stream it. To me, it just makes more sense. Recommend me a cheap laptop for movies and Visual Studio, please. I'm not really a computer. I mean, my job is primarily smartphones, so I could tell you for movies and Visual Studio. For things like that, I will say like Lenovo, Toshiba, they make some pretty good hardcore, just great laptops. Some of the best laptops by Lenovo, but they're not really that attractive. That's kind of the downside. Dell and HP, I know for some people they're like the devil, but honestly they do make just affordable, all-around good laptops. I mean, I'm not saying they're the best ever, but they're mainstream and they're affordable. And so if you don't care about doing research and finding a specific model and all kinds of crap, you usually can't go wrong with a Dell or an HP. I'm just going to say that. Outside of that, Sony makes some really good laptops, but they're very pricey. If you have the money, you could get a Sony. That probably didn't help very much. I can't recommend a specific model because, like I said, my job is primarily smartphones. I only know those things because when I buy a laptop, I do research on it. Sydney, do you think we'll ever see WebOS again? I don't know. Sydney, what's your favorite movie genre? Probably comedy, action. Do you use Zune? I'm assuming you mean Zune as in Z-U-N-E, even though you spelled it Z-O-O-N. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do I use Zune? No. Like I said, I stream music, so I don't use Zune. I love the Zune software, especially the desktop software. I think it's just very well designed and attractive. I love the way it looks, but again, I just can't rationalize paying per song when I can stream it for free. I've used IBM Lenovo ThinkPads for years. They are the best. Yeah, Lenovo, the ThinkPad, they really are just the best laptops. And generally they're ugly, which is kind of a downside, but they really are just the best laptops. And not a lot of people have them. But if you're willing to sacrifice style, a Lenovo ThinkPad is the best, basically. Why are the Razer and Razer Max the same price? I don't know. Why would I know that? I don't know. I don't work for Verizon or Motorola. Do you like WebOS? Yeah, I do. I like it a lot. Do you have a Kindle Fire? Yeah, I do. I have a Kindle Fire. Oh, it's 5 o'clock. It's been an hour. Okay. So that's all the time we have. But thanks, guys, for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was a good show. I'm sorry if I missed your question. If you're watching on YouTube, you can leave your question. I read those. I read those comments. I try to answer some if I can. But anyway, I guess that's all. And I'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Ustream, also on Facebook, and then, of course, the recording on YouTube. So that's it from me. I'll see you guys later. Bye.